why on earth would anybody ever want to use a Great Hammer in this game? They're terrible, right? Nobody ever uses this in PvP. You never see this around. And they're slow, they're clunky, their moveset isn't the greatest. They have good damage, and notably strike damage, which not a lot of armor has a lot of absorption against. But why would you ever want to use the Great Hammer? Well, to be honest, it's not really the best weapon, not something you want to use if you're going to be trying to fish out a win, but it's definitely a fun weapon to use. And if you just want to lay back, relax, and play a few casual matches, it's definitely something that can do some heavy damage and be really fun to use. Now, there are some tips and tricks that can improve your effectiveness with this weapon, and you're going to see that in the actual PvP that we do a little bit later. If you want to go straight to the PvP, I'll leave a link right in the video here. Just click that link on the right hand side, it'll take you right there. But if you want to use this weapon, it's really effective at baiting out opponents, because the general conception around this weapon, or the stereotype around it, is that it's slow, it's clunky, right? Basically all the things I said at the beginning. Easy to dodge, easy to see coming at you, and you can react roll. Pretty much anybody can react roll since it's so slow at coming out, right? The R1 swings are so slow. If you are going to use this weapon, please make sure you do use it on a strength build. I will also link my strength build video in this video and in the description. Click it on the left hand side there as it pops up on the screen if you want to see the build that we use around this video, but you can kind of see the attribute breakdown on the screen right now. But you can see that we're doing 633 points of damage at 50 strength, and our ring setup is something very basic. But what you want to make note of here is having the 40 endurance to have the maximum amount of stamina, because there's an amazing little bait that you can pull off with this weapon that most people can get caught out by, to be honest. And you're going to see me do it in PvP. But what it is you just tap R2, you don't want to charge it, and then you follow up with 2 R1s. You're going to have just a little bit of stamina to roll away if needed. But essentially what you're going to do, or force your opponent to do, is after you miss with this R2, they're going to rush you down and think they can punish you. And what they don't know, likely they don't know, is that the recovery time from that R2 jumping attack is really fast. So you can bust out 2 R1s virtually right after you land with that attack and punish them and combo the hell out of them. And this weapon, it has a good amount of, I guess, poise damage, you can call it. That's what it was in Dark Souls 2. But it actually knocks enemies out of a lot of attacks, and you can end up comboing them for 800 or more points of damage. And like I said, because this weapon deals strike damage, most enemies won't have a decent defense against that with their armor. So with that said, of course, if you end up jumping and you miss, and then you bust out 1 R1 and you miss with that, obviously you don't want to follow up with the second R1. So you can easily just, throw it out, see if you hit somebody. If not, you have a lot of stamina to kind of roll away, which is nice. It's good at catching rolls, to be honest, just like Ultra Great Swords are with the diagonal swing. It can catch enemies rolling around you a lot. The rolling R1 isn't really that good, and I don't really use the one-handed moveset at all, but I guess it could be good to some degree because the swings are a bit delayed. If you see enemies rushing you down or trying to roll around you, it could also hit them out of their attack. So there's not too much to this weapon. That's basically the go-to strategy for it. If an enemy is really keen on that strategy and they know not to approach you after that, you will have to play a little bit more of a mix-up game. Of course, you always have the parry if you need it, and this weapon does an insane amount of damage if you land a parry. So that's another pro of it. I don't really parry, but and I don't parry in any of my PvP fights, but it is an option if you have to resort to something else. But that is the video. Well, the video in terms of the analysis. Let me know what you guys think. Let's get into the PvP and see how the weapon does. Alright, I guess I should also tell you guys why I'm actually using this weapon. It's because a long time ago somebody did request me to use some of the hammer or the great hammers in the game, specifically requesting the Smough's hammer. So I decided, why not give it a try. Woke up this morning and figured I'm in a good mood. I can probably end up taking a few losses and not get too salty, so I decided to give it a try. Surprisingly enough, I think I fought like 10 matches and we lost 1. So it was really surprising. We got into some very close matches and we went behind a lot in the beginning in a few matches, but just the pure damage potential of this weapon, as you can see here, absolutely insane. And look at this. This is what I mean. You see how I was able to hit him out of his weapon art with this hammer? A great sword or an ultra great sword, I think, wouldn't normally be able to do that. So it's really good at that. If you and it does have its own hyper armor, so you're likely going to come up with your attack and block an enemy's attack. So in this matchup here, you see me trade with this opponent. This weapon also very good on trades because, like I said, it deals the strike damage. Not a lot of enemies have that extra defense against strike, so you're probably going to end up coming out with an extra 20 to 30 points of damage per hit, which is quite significant when you think about the combo damage. There, again, you can see I knocked this guy out of the startup of his weapon art, dealing a 2-hit combo, and he's pretty much dead. Now he's switching to the katana. People really underestimate this weapon, and you can really fish out a lot of easy hits. There, again, you can see us utilizing that strategy. He thought he can come in and punish us after we do the R2 jumping attack, and then we just straight up bust out the R1 and finish him off. Now, I didn't talk about the L1 at all, but before I do, check this out. Gotta love that, right? I'm sure on his screen it looked like he could backstab me, but on my screen, obviously, I'm coming out with an attack facing him. Don't know how he got that backstab. He's obviously using the Hornet Ring. Cheeky little bastard. I'm able to do that extra damage. So we go behind early in this match, but yeah, that kind of sucks. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. I didn't really mention anything about the weapon art all that much, and that's because the Perseverance skill, it's not really all that useful with this weapon. Most enemies, if they see you doing any sort of animation with this weapon, they're gonna back away. They're not gonna risk it. I mentioned that in the analysis part of the beginning of the video, where enemies will usually just try to react because this weapon is so slow. So whatever animation you do, they're likely not gonna come in and contest you. Just be very careful with that. Here we finally catch a break against this guy and end up getting him with a 2-hit combo, putting him down to half health, pretty much evening the match. But then we get caught with an R1. But essentially, we know what our strategy is here. So here we're going to try to bait him out. Ooh, and then he was able to roll out of that one. Lucky, I think we hit him with just the tip of the weapon, and that's why he was able to roll away. But for the most part, and this is why this strategy works so well, the jumping R2 attack, is because after you've done your animation and enemies, react, roll away, because this weapon is slow, your grandma could probably react, roll away even. But after you've done your animation, they think that this weapon has lots of recovery. They think that they can go in and punish you. They may think you have no stamina. All of those things, right, that are associated, the stereotypes associated with the heavy weapons, which is why, in my opinion, heavy weapons have become such a big part of, I guess they call it the meta in this game now, compared to how it was in Dark Souls 2, where heavy weapons were actually terrible. But you can actually follow up with the 2 R1s, like I mentioned, and combo somebody really, really easily after that. So after we beat those phantoms, we decided to fight the host. It took a little while to get the fight started because of all the buffs, so I just kind of cut that out. But here you're going to see we took the lead early with a 2-hit combo. This guy using hidden body for some reason. I mean, I commend him for sure for trying something new. That's actually a kind of a neat strategy, but I don't think it's going to work in a duel too much. It might work better on an invasion. But here you can see that phantom damage range, or phantom bleed range, I guess, because I didn't take damage, but he still ended up building up the bleed on me, and as a result, I'm going to get bled out here. I likely wouldn't have been bled out if he didn't hit us with that phantom hit, but it is what it is, and we catch the roll, like I mentioned. This weapon, very good at catching rolls as well, just like Ultra Greatswords are with the diagonal swing, and we finish off that opponent. Now, this fight is kind of interesting. Here you can see this guy actually was able to charge through. Is the only attack that I've seen charge through an R1 from this hammer, and he was actually able to deal a good amount of damage on us. But using a small axe, this guy should pretty much have the advantage, so we're going to have to rely on our knowledge of the game here, basically catching the rolls and the bait outs, as you can see here. Unfortunately, he was charging his war cry, otherwise he probably would have approached us again. I don't think this guy learned his lesson the first time, since he was able to come through with his war cried R2 attack, and we were unable to stagger him. But there you can see again, baited him out, finished him off. Very, very simple and very effective for most fights. Like I said, I think I played 10 or 11 matches and I only lost 1. So it's definitely an effective strategy and it can catch a lot of people out. But I wouldn't really recommend you using this strategy against the same opponent or in a fight club, because once enemies see the strategy, they likely know not to contest it and whatnot. This battle here, kind of interesting, up against a pure spellcaster, so props to this guy for trying out that in PvP. And one thing I just want to mention too, whenever I do a gesture, I don't know why people get so strung up on gestures, and I don't mean to offend you or call you super sensitive or anything, but gestures are meaningless. The only gesture in this game that actually is an insult is really when you turn around after you kill an enemy and patch a squat on their head, which indicates you basically teabagging them, or as they say, shitting on them, air quotes. right? Every other gesture, I mean, the welcome gesture, you may think of it as a troll, but not really. The clapping gesture, I don't consider that a troll at all, so I don't know why people consider that a troll either, but it is what it is, and don't take it too seriously, especially if you don't gesture or you don't see a gesture. Doesn't mean that we didn't actually gesture before the match or something, so I just wanted to point that out. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking and let the rest of the match play out here so you guys can enjoy it. There are some good matches here, so make sure you watch it, and if you do like the video, please like and subscribe. Check out the channel for more content. Leave a comment, let me know what you want to see, but I'll just put on some good tunes and let you guys check out the rest of the video. Thank you so much for watching though. Quantum is out.